A very warm welcome from Raza Foundation and the India International Center to the 43rd session of Art Matters. We have been there for a while now, so many of you know about it. Many who are new would not know. Earlier on it used to be panel discussions. Now we have converted them into conversations, and many conversations have taken place with Ashish Nandi, with Arpita Singh, with Krishan Khanna, with Neelima Sheikh, with Alar Mail Walli, etc. This is now with Jatin Das. I mean, to this audience, Jatin Nath doesn't know an introduction. Him and I are like permanent furniture in the India International Center. If you have visited India International Center and have not met us in the bar, you are missing something crucial in India International Center. And for Jatin, every hour is an hour of morning. So he greets people with good morning. He is a permanent residence. His permanent residence is morning. Well, he has 68 one-man shows, and he had taken part in some of the most prestigious biennales the world over, including Cuba, Tokyo, British Print Biennale, Triennale, India, Venice, Paris, etc. Apart from being an important artist, he has also been a great promoter of art. So he had created a JD Center of Arts in Bhubaneswar, which over a period of time has acquired great prestige and attracts a very large number of audience. He has been showing films made on artists, by artists, and recently in the session that he had, there was a special focus on architecture. He is also the notorious collector of pankhas. So he has more than 1,000 pankhas.
8,000.
8,000. Oh, sorry. The number. In this case, the number has to be very large. So 8,000 pankhas, which a selection of which has been shown all over the world. So there is a space here, please. Walk. Come. So there you are. You hear Jatin Das being talked to by Prayag Shukla. Prayag Shukla is a Hindi poet, prose writer, a well-known Hindi art critic, and we are contemporaries. A very good friend, although that played no role in inviting him to this. It was the choice of Shri Jatin Das, not mine. We asked the artist to suggest the name of a person who would be congenial to be talking with. So there you are. The rules of the game are simple. 45 minutes of a conversation. And later, after the conversation is over, it will be open to the so-called house, to the hall, and you can ask brief comments. So there you are, Jatin Das, being talked to. I was trying to frame the grammatically proper sentence by Prayag Shukla. Go ahead. May I give you the flowers at the beginning so that there is a seat for me to sit down? That's a selfish reason.
Thank you. नीचे रखना पड़ेगा। ये क्या करें?
मैं आप सबको नमस्कार करता हूँ और सामने बैठे हुए आप सबको देखकर लग रहा है कि हिंदी भी चलेगी तो हिंदी अंग्रेजी जैसी सुविधा होगी। मेरी आवाज़ ठीक आ रही है? जतिन दास जी जिस भाषा में चाहेंगे, हमारी बातचीत दोनों भाषाओं में होती है। वो तो कई भाषाएं जानते हैं, बंगला भी जानते हैं, बंगला ही बोल सकते हैं जब चाहेंगे, उड़िया तो जानते ही हैं। बहरहाल आज की शाम जैसा अशोक जी कह चुके हैं, हम कोशिश यही करेंगे, कोशिश क्या ऐसा ही करेंगे कि 45 मिनट तक हमारी बातचीत हो। मैं घड़ी भी देख लेता हूँ और उसके बाद फिर आप लोग जतिन दास से सवाल करें। अशोक जी उनके बारे में बता चुके हैं और आप सब उनके बारे में जानते हो, पर मैं कुछ चीज़ों की याद करूँगा और फिर जतिन के पास आऊँगा। शुरुआत में करूँगा जतिन दास और मेरे साथ जो 15 दिन हम लोगों ने शिमोगा कर्नाटक में बिताए थे एक वर्कशॉप में, और जतिन दास से मेरा एक नया परिचय हुआ था, मैं सच बताऊँ आपको, और मैं चाहता हूँ कि वो परिचय आज आप लोगों का भी हो। नवोदय विद्यालय की समिति ने तय किया कि जतिन दास और मैं शिमोगा जाएं। शिमोगा आप जानते हो, अनंत मूर्ति जी के कारण वैसे उनका शहर रहा है और कर्नाटक के बहुत सुंदर इलाकों में है वो। तो 5 मिनट लूँगा। वहाँ हम पहुँचे, मुझसे ये अपेक्षा की गई थी, आई वॉज एक्सपेक्टेड टू कंडक्ट ए पोएट्री वर्कशॉप, और जतिन के साथ ही था कि एक आर्ट बच्चों के साथ, स्टूडेंट्स के साथ और आर्ट टीचर्स के साथ एक वर्कशॉप करेंगे और हम लोग वहाँ 1 सप्ताह रहेंगे। पर जिस दिन हम वहाँ पहुँचे रात को, तो मैंने पाया कि थोड़ी देर में जतिन दास मेरे कमरे में आए, बोले आप यहाँ सो पाओगे? मैंने कहा नहीं, अच्छा खासा गेस्ट हाउस है, बगल में पानी है, वाटर बॉडी है और चांदनी रात थी शायद। मैंने कहा बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है यहाँ, क्यों नहीं सो पाऊँगा? बोले आपको कुछ ऐसी महक नहीं आ रही कि बहुत धूल है? मैंने कहा अच्छा, तुम मुझे सचमुच आने लगी? मैंने कहा हाँ लगता तो है। तो इन्होंने कारपेट उठाया और गलीचा उठाया, तो उसमें धूल जमी थी तह की तह। अब आप सोचिए, हमको भूख लग रही है, हमको प्यास लग रही है, लेकिन जतिन दास खुद एक बाल्टी से कहीं से पानी लाया, फिर किसी ने किसी को बुलाया, कमरे की सफाई कराई। दूसरे दिन हम प्रिंसिपल के कमरे में पहुंचे और मैं देखकर बड़ा प्रसन्न हुआ कि वहाँ कर्नाटक के बड़े लेखकों की तस्वीरें लगी हुई हैं, अनंत मूर्ति जी की भी तस्वीर लगी हुई थी। प्रिंसिपल से बात करने से पहले जतिन दास ने यहाँ वहाँ जैसे जो भी कागज पड़े हुए थे उनको उठाया। अब वो बेचारे घबरा गए, वो तो उठकर खड़े हो गए। फिर वो एक अलमारी में कहीं कुछ चिपका रखते हैं लोग कागज पुराना, तो वैसी कोई चीज़ पेश कर रखी थी, उसको इन्होंने निकाला, रुमाल भी अपनी निकाल ली, तो एक पूरा वो समझिए थोड़ा छोटा मोटा कांड हो गया। मैं इसलिए याद कर रहा हूँ इस बात की कि 15 दिन में मैंने एक स्कूल को अपनी आंखों के सामने बदलते हुए देखा है, और जतिन दास से सचमुच जो मेरा नया परिचय था। अब मैं सबसे कहता हूँ कि तो आज से 20 साल पहले की बात है, 20 years have passed। उस दिन से जतिन के लिए बराबर इज ए फ्रेंड और रिगार्ड था ही, पर उसके बाद से बहुत बढ़ चुका है। आई न्यू अबाउट हिज एनर्जी, लेकिन उन्होंने वहाँ जो किया, अभी वो खुद भी मैं चाहूँगा कि वो बताएं। सोचिए, मुझे याद आ रहा है, थोड़ा सा बता देता हूँ। अगले दिन जतिन ने कहा यहाँ झूले नहीं है, पौधे नहीं है, कैसा स्कूल है? तो और इनसे एक्सपेक्ट किया गया था कि म्यूरल बनाएंगे। तो जतिन ने कहा कि मान लीजिए मैं यहाँ म्यूरल बनाकर चला जाऊँ और इतनी जगह आपकी गंदी रहे स्कूल, तो वो म्यूरल क्या होगा? मैं भी इनके साथ लग गया। जीवन में पहली बार, जिसको कहते हैं सचमुच में झाड़ू लेकर जो भी कहीं करते थे, मैं भी करता था, क्योंकि इसमें आनंद आने लगा। ये हैं जतिन दास, इनका एक दूसरा रूप। और वैसे तो फिर उन्होंने और क्या क्या किया ये भी कुछ बताएंगे, मैं भी कुछ बताऊंगा। तो जतिन जी वहाँ से शुरू करते हैं, आप कुछ उन दिनों की याद करो।
जो एजुकेशन सेक्रेटरी ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया once said, why don't you do some workshop in a school? I said, sure, with one condition, that I won't take any money, but everything that I need for the school should be provided. So I said 2 months before that, this is 35 acres of land, government school. So I said, get all the buildings repaired. Then we need carpenter, electrician, plumber, bulldozer, tractor, all these things. There were uneven land, there was no radial. So there were puddles of water, so we got all that done. We made stone benches and tables for parents and children to sit on. Then we, it's an indulgence.
And the
I mean,
swing, the swing.
जी, वो तो आखिर में झूला बने बहुत सारे चीज़ें. तो इसमें ज़्यादा भटक ना जाए, इसमें बहुत सारे चीज़ें हैं. But मेरा problem है, I have come to recognize that I'm not only an indulgent person, I'm an over-indulgent person. Hence, I create problem for myself and for others.
नहीं, आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा. इसको हम यहाँ समाप्त करते हैं. सिर्फ ये कहकर आखिरी दिन पूर्णिमा की रात थी. जतीन दास ने पूरे स्कूल के लिए खाना बनवाया, खुद लगे रहे 3-4 घंटे. बहुत अच्छे कुक हैं, उसके बारे में कुछ जानेंगे. और खीर बनाई बच्चों के लिए. बच्चे इनको इतना वहाँ पसंद करने लगे और अभी भी कभी मुझे मिलते हैं वहाँ के लड़के और हम दोनों को याद करते हैं कि अच्छा आप आए थे. एक लड़का मुझे बड़ौदा में मिला, वो वहाँ कुछ पढ़ने गया आर्ट डिपार्टमेंट में. अब जतीन दास जी से मेरी दूसरी रिक्वेस्ट ये है, क्योंकि इनके we all know that he is a painter. He has done hundreds and rather thousands of sketches and drawings. He is lover of poetry, as we all know. और कई देशों में घूमे हैं, उसकी याद अभी अशोक जी ने भी की. And he has been friend of our poets. दिलीप चित्रे, डॉम मॉरिस, नसीम एजिकेल, बहुत close relationship रही है. He has showed me a book in Dilip Chitra's handwriting, which he presented to him, all bind, and so that kind of relationship with poets also. So now my request is, Jatin Dasji, that you recite 1 or 2 of your poems.
Yeah. Before I recite the poem, I just want to tell you that when I talk about my pankha collection, so कहता ये painting नहीं करता, पंखा का collection कर रहा है. My eldest son was in Rishi Valley School, and I had gone there and I had also indulged in doing something in the school, Krishnamurti School in Rishi Valley. So I also cooked a meal. This is some 30 years ago. So after I returned, my son Siddhartha says, Baba, they know you as a cook, not as an artist. So likewise, I'm trying to diminish simoga or cooking. I used to cook a lot for close friends. And with 2 hours notice, all the friends used to come. But today nobody has time, so I don't cook anymore. And if I cook too much, don't say, ye painting nahi karta, ye cook hai, pankha collector hai, vagara, vagara. So I'm trying to diminish so that my identity doesn't disappear.
Kavitaएं.
Kavitaएं, acha. You know, I'm from Orissa and grew up in Bombay and studied at the JJ School of Art. And at the Jahangir Art Gallery at Samovar restaurant, we had a poetry group with no audience, no press, no outsiders. Only between 10 of us. That is Nissim Ezekiel, Dilip Chitre, Arun Koladkar, Arvind Krishnan Mehrotra, and R. Parthasarathi, Linda Hess, and many others. So what we used to do, Parthasarathi was to get the poems duplicated and then distribute between us, and then we used to read one poet and discuss him or her threadbare. So that used to happen. So it was a very, very lovely time. And Dilip was a very good friend. Dilip was a great poet and a great critic and a very, very sensitive man. So after that he went over to Pune, and I'm talking of the recent past, about 10 years ago. I had a show at the Jahangir and he had come from Pune to see my show. And then it so happened that I got an invitation for a lecture to Pune after 40 years. So when I went and Dilip was sitting in the front row, there was nobody there. Anyway, so we spent some lovely time together, and then I came back to Delhi, and then I saw a polythene bag with a lot of dust on it in my bookshelf. So I said, "Ye kya saaf karne gaya?" So I found all these poets' original manuscript in that polythene bag, with Dilip sitting on the top of it. in the manuscript. So what I did was his original handwriting. So I got the original poems bound in handmade paper and sent it to him.
Of Tukaram.
Tukaram, translation of Tukaram. So then I sent it. So anyway, so that, then Thought magazine here in Delhi, some 40 years ago, क्या सिंह था उनका नाम? Thought magazine, Ram Singh, used to edit, and Richard and I and Keshav and all of our poems used to be published there. And I found a few of them recently because I shifted my studio. You see, when you don't have a house of your own, every time you shift, you destroy something, you discover something, and it takes a long time. I've been in my new studio for 3 years. It's not fully settled yet. So anyway, and there was a time in Delhi in 70s, all of us used to be invited to various colleges to read our poems also. You know, there is a misnomer that what is your main thing? I think all of us, or many of my friends, live many aspects of life. That is, there are poets and painters, and they do many other things. So it's not a hobby, and this is my painting is main. When I'm cooking, my cooking is more important than painting. When I'm writing a poem, the poem is important, and so on. Anyway, having said that, I'll read you a few poems, earlier poems, which I chanced upon yesterday. It's called Black. For the quiet of the night, I entered the stillness of the dark in search of light. Night engulfs the dark like a shawl. It spreads like ink on wet thoughts. Night defies colors. Night seduces the light and conceals it. Quiet the night. Light. Night waits for the light. In the stillness of the night, I wake up to see black ink sits on the white paper gracefully. It's called drawing. No, sorry, line. A drawing gets drawn by Conti or ink. The drawing draws itself. There is no beginning or end. A line has no history. Line has no length. Only blood flows like a river. The river meets the sea, but a line is never ending. It begins and flows. A drawing is sheer poetry. A poem is night, void without darkness. A line stretches, thought that never thinks. A drawing has no measure of time. Black and white is stark. A line divides spaces, not time. Both time and space can't hold time. A line begins endlessly and gets drawn for no reason.
जतिन जी, बहुत अच्छा मौका है मेरे लिए कि अब मैं आपसे सचमुच जानना चाहता हूँ. It's about drawing and line.
जी.
Because you know, we all know that how skilled you are with your lines. तो ये लाइन के साथ आपका जो, क्योंकि वो होता है ड्राइंग्स तो आप करते ही रहे हो, in your paintings we find कि line plays a very important role. तो ये कहाँ से कैसे शुरू हुआ था लाइन वाला कि उस पर आप आपको लगा कि इस पर मेरा पूरा एक होना ही चाहिए? और फिर
I think all artists all over the world draw. Drawing is a very important aspect of an artist, and as a matter of fact, it's said many times in the past that you see the strength of an artist through his drawing. This is one. And then from my childhood, I used to draw like everybody else, nothing special about it. But when I went to JJ, my professor Palsikar stressed on drawing. And we have, At my time, JJ was one of the most important art school in the country. As you know, one of the very first, the British colonial British set up, Bombay, Madras and Calcutta. So in all these three institutions, there was a rigorous training and discipline of working. And I, on my own, thought that we had to give about 20 sketches a day before you enter the class. But I used to do about 300 sketches a day. So a determination, I want to paint and draw. So and also there was not much money, so I used to walk from JJ to Opera House and go to Leamington Road to my YMCA hostel. So when you go on sketching and then the time pass, and then I used to stop at Badi Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab's studio, listen to him for a while and rest, and then go to the hostel. So when you draw holding like this, your ligament here becomes very hard, so you have to massage yourself and things like that. But all artists, there's nothing special about me in this. All artists draw, work the soul. I mean, a lot of people are not drawing anymore. There are a lot of, forgive me for saying, a lot of young artists directly go to painting, and they're doing all kinds of things.
In fact, that is what I had in mind, because we talk of Hussein's line, Souza's line, Lakshma Gaur's line, Manjeet's line, how they used to
K.S.
draw.
Kulkarni.
K.S. Kulkarni's
Same.
lines, sort of.
K.S. Kulkarni was a great artist.
So that is why I asked this. तो ये जो और इतने लंबे समय तक आप इसको चलाए रखा है, very happy about it. We all are very happy about it. वो जो आप foreign countries में गए, वहाँ पर भी इतना draw आप करते रहे हो, sketches बनाते रहे हो, portrait बिना line के possible नहीं है. तो ये जो line के साथ आपका obsession में नहीं कहूँगा, उसका प्रेम कहूँगा.
हाँ, लेकिन मैं सिर्फ नहीं, देखिए, there used to be artist camp. The very first artist camp took place in Kashmir, organized by Ghulam Rasul Santosh, the very first in India. And I see Bendre, Heba, Chawra, Ramchandran, everybody used to draw. You get a sketchbook, you had breakfast, you sketching and drawing. I don't see, I won't name some artists. We went to Egypt on an artist camp. And many known artists and some young artists were there. And somebody asked this young artist, aren't you drawing? Jatin is drawing, Lakshma is drawing, and Shakti Baba is drawing. He said, I've drawn enough. This young artist said, I've drawn enough. But all artists in our country have thousands of sketchbooks. It's not just one, thousands. And आपने क्या पूछा मैं भूल गया.
नहीं आप बिल्कुल ठीक बोल रहे हैं. नहीं आप उसको भूल जाओ जो आप बोल रहे हो बिल्कुल.
आप बीच में भूल के जवाब देते रहे.
नहीं ये उनको बोला मुझे खिंचाई करे. But I was telling you about Ghulam Rasul Santosh is very important.
Yes.
Because it's very important to mention here. Santosh started, they had little money, they used to give us 500 rupees an air ticket, but we spent 1 or 2 months in Kashmir in Gandarbal. And all this, Parabjit is here ना, कहाँ गया? परमजीत चला गया. हाँ, वो भी था. तो ये कोई कभी ये खाना बना रहा है, कोई ये कर रहे हैं, फिर मस्ती में तो काम करते थे. आजकल आर्टिस्ट कैंप होता 2 दिन के लिए, 1 दिन के लिए विदेश में जाने का, और you don't paint, and then somebody says you can give a painting later on. And then it has become a dhanda. Many of these people who organize and invite you for artist camp, they eventually sell it. They spend suppose 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees on you, food, stay, hotel, etc. Then they sell the painting quietly in the second market. And all the painting we did in Kashmir are in the Kashmir. So Kashmir Academy is the only place where we got fantastic collection. Some are stolen, some are damaged in the flood, but they have a fantastic collection of painting. So what I'm saying in the whole entire art scene in our country, the various degradation and has taken place, and unbelievable,
जतिन जी मैं आपको थोड़ा पीछे ले जाऊंगा.
Please.
We have all great regard for Richard Dawkins. इतना उनसे हम लोगों ने सीखा है. Now the book is out, the critic Richard Dawkins. There I found this review. I want to read few lines.
Please.
This was when you were taking your show to London.
Achha.
74 की drawings or paintings. What Richard says. As a matter of fact, this body of work to be shown in London had for its theme the human body in motion. There is a deliberate distortion of the body and the formal use of color mass posited against the dramatic blur of the features. The insistence, for instance, on double profiles and phasing of movement. To make this approach more significant, Jatin incorporates the stillness and starkness of the gesture at a seemingly decisive point. And then he ends this review, these lines, I think a great compliment to you. These words qualify Jatin to be considered as sincere, genuine and gifted painter. So you got recognition so early, in a way. How do you respond
Richard,
to this now?
You see, there was a time in Bombay or Delhi or Calcutta, Madras, all people, everybody was working. They were not after money or name. And everybody not only working, sharing material. If somebody doesn't have paper, Tayyab will come to my house in Nizamuddin here and then say, "Tere paas koi kagaz hai?" And I used to buy a lot of paper. So 4-6 kagaz, 2 manga to 4-6 diye. So we all used to share everything, you know. So this is one. The other is everybody was drawing and sketching and devoted to their work. The other was happening was painter, writer, poet, musician, architect, scientist, they all knew each other. They knew each other in the sense not as familiarity. They were in and out of the studio. I mean, Dr. Bhava and other people, Jalka Avasji and all these people, Holt Larsen of the Larsen Turo, they'll come to my little studio of this size in Bhulaba Institute and spend 2 hours looking at the work and perspiring. After a board meeting, they will not go for lunch, they will come and see an exhibition. So all these places were vibrant, but I was very lucky when I went to Bombay. Bombay was throbbing with activities. Documentary film like Sukhdev, Chari, Jagmohan, the documentary film scriptwriter, and the Alkazi, Satyadev Dubey, Mira Chitni, you know, pagal ho jayenge. Ravi Shankar, Hussain, sab log, you know. Iyengar, the yoga teacher. We'll come to Bhulaba Institute later, but आपने फिर क्या पूछा मैं भूल गया.
नहीं आप बोलते रहो. मैं पूछ नहीं रहा. मैं खाली आपको बोलने के लिए उकसा रहा हूँ.
So no, the time was fantastic. It's like yesterday, you know. And I'm talking of Richard. Richard, I'm going at a tangent at different time scale. In New Delhi, I came in '68 when Andita was a tiny child. And we lived in Nizamuddin. Nizamuddin, East, West and Janpura was a ghetto of nobody decided. They all came, "Acha, mera dost idhar hai, main bhi aa jaun." So you name any artist or dancer or architect, Raj Raval, Ram Sharma, Bharti Sivaji, Uma Sharma, Richard Bartholomew, Santosh Ramachandran, Pundas Das Gupta, Sanku Chaudhary, everybody lived there. And we were in and out. Or we were Modi ka dukaan, jahan udhar se lete the. And sometimes we'll borrow money. So on the way Richard का घर, उसके बाद संतोष, ये बोलेगा थोड़ा चख के जाओ, मैंने कोई स्टू बनाया. संतोष बोला थोड़ा शोरबा तो चावल के साथ थोड़ा खा ले. Santosh used to, Bhabiji used to be unwell, and he would look after the children, to send them to school, get down to painting and cooking, some days cooking and come back. Talking of cooking, Parabjit is here, he's a great cook. And I'm not a great cook, I love cooking, but he's a great cook. Every artist all over the world, they cook. It's nothing new, you know. So Richard, Krishna Chaitanya, Charles Fabry, they were stalwart critics. And they were not critics as writing reviews. They knew everybody's work from beginning till finish, you know. And almost every week we met each other. So,
आपने दिल्ली की बात की है, आवाज़ क्या आ रही है? अच्छा आ रही है. तो ये भी ध्यान में आता है, आप 68 में आए, 64 में आए, लगभग इसी समय 50 साल हो चुके हैं जतिन. इस बीच हम दोनों ने बहुत कुछ देखा है. दिल्ली में बनते बदलते संवरते नई चीज़ें उभरते हुए, आर्ट वर्ल्ड भी बदल गया है. एक नई क्रॉप है आर्टिस्ट की, नई तरह से काम करने वाले, बहुत सारे मटेरियल के साथ काम करने वाले. सो ये मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि आपने दूसरा कुछ काम नहीं किया, पर कभी कभी जानने की इच्छा होती है कि जैसे आपके चारों तरफ ये हो रहा है, लेकिन आप बहुत अच्छी तरह अपनी ड्राइंग्स के साथ, अपनी लाइन के साथ, अपने कलर्स के साथ और ह्यूमन बॉडी सच के साथ आपने अपनी यात्रा तय की है और बहुत कन्विंसिंग ढंग से की, उसमें ये नहीं है। पर मैं खाली जानना चाहता हूँ, क्या कभी ऐसी इच्छा नहीं हुई, कभी सब नया हो रहा है, मैं भी कुछ नया करूँ?
भूल गए।
You know, there are all kinds of artists in the world and different period. There are some artists who did from a particular window in different seasons for years. There are some artists who made changes every day. There are some artists wanting to do something new every time, under pressure, under demand, or under self-pressure. I have never thought of doing something new or old. Let me tell you, when I work, I never look at my previous work. Normally, I don't have my paintings displayed anywhere in the house or in the studio. They're all facing the wall. Turn. Yeah, that's one. The other thing is, I've never referred my own work for new work. Good or bad, each one's attitude is different. But one has had the good fortune of looking at very sensitive artists meeting and knowing their work and the process of work. Then you remain a student all along. And this newness for the sake of newness. There are some artists today are under a lot of self-pressure that they have to do something new, otherwise they will not be in the same position they are in. And that applies to painters, dancers, everybody. Say, Chandralekha was a great dancer. She grew from classical dance. And then she had the good fortune of Dashrath Patel and Sadanand. So they were together. So when there is give and take with your society, with your country, with your people, with your poetry, say Mohan Rakesh was a great writer. He was a close friend of mine. And there were many Hindi poets. In my Nizamuddin house, hundreds of poets, Hindi poets, Bengali, English, Oriya poets have read their poems. 5-6 लोग आए, तुम कविता पढ़ो. मुझे याद है पवन वर्मा बोलता है ये तो डॉम पढ़ रहा है, मैंने पवन तुम भी कुछ पढ़ो, इसके सामने पढ़ने मुझे झिझक आ रहा है ना? So they were fantastic, and there was not pre-orchestrated, predetermined. There were beautiful evening. Mark is here, so Nizamuddin, he was there, you know. So every time eat and go and sketch and draw, and you know, this was a way of life. Unfortunately, what's happening, there are a lot of artists that don't live life the fullest. And the idea of this newness, or do something new. If you look at a human figure, if you look at a bird, you know, when I teach, I used to tell my students that if you look at a tree and draw for 10 years, and if you're a scientist or a poet or an architect or artist, you will become one. One tree for 10 years, you know. So likewise, nothing is exhausted, you know. So human figure is wonderful. It has a lot of lalitya.
Jatin, you have interacted with theatre persons also, actors, directors, all of them. So tell us something about that relationship, this interaction.
You know, I come from Mayurbhanj. Mayurbhanj is an old princely state in Orissa, bordering Bengal and Orissa. And it was a princely state, and it was a very enlightened state. I normally fly the flag of Mayurbhanj. So what I'm saying is, in my childhood, my elder brothers and in the mohalla, everybody, those who were studying in college school, they used to do plays in the evening. There were playwrights, there were dancers. Chaurasia Hariprasad Chaurasia used to come and accompany Sanjukta Panigrahi for a performance. So and so on. Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, we used to have music concerts in the council hall for a week every year. So there were sportsmen, there were dancers, there were writers, poets, and you know, and things like that. So I grew up there, and when I went to Bombay, so that was also very overwhelmingly very vibrant. It was a fantastic time. So theatre in Bhulabha Institute, there was an institute which doesn't exist anymore. Like in Mayurbhanj, in my hometown, there was a Rani Bagh of 100 acres of land. There was a train for children to ride, so you can imagine how enlightened the state was. The first street lights of Orissa was first in, and so on. and there was a museum, there's a fantastic library and things like that. So the Raniwad doesn't exist. So my children say, "Tum aise goli maar rahe ho, nahi tha." You know. So likewise, say Bhulava Institute is not there anymore. Bhulava Institute, I was the youngest as to even, I had a studio even when I was a student. And there was Gaitonde upstairs, Dashrath Patel, and Al-Qazi Gallery 59 by Bal Chavda, and everybody. And then Souza would come, and Nasreen had a little studio under mine. Hussain ka studio udhar was, we all went to get his art material from Bombay Central to have a studio, and those side mein. And then you come out to the balcony to look at your work, although they're small. Some artists used to say, when they used to come from abroad, they used to say, how do you do large painting in such a small place? You make do it whatever the situation is there. So, Meena Chitnis was doing his place, Al-Qazi was doing it, Satyadev Dubey, and many others. So, ये राजेश खन्ना का नाम जतिन खन्ना था, और ये हरिहर जरीवाला क्या संजीव कुमार. I took their photograph for their audition to go to films, and we all used to go to the Naka to have Sally Ghosh, you know. Etc. Then Iyengar started his yoga class there. Ravi Shankar, before going, the Kinnara school was there. And it was a fantastic center. Marshall Marshall would come, and his first performance for the Bhulava Institute. Yamini Sonal's first performance in Bombay was for the Bhulava Institute people. So there were many others. There was somebody doing sculpture, Pilu Pochkanwala, the sculptor, and she did a beautiful piece, big metal sculpture near Haji Ali. They've broken it and destroyed it. So there is no care for our heritage and for many great artists who have done things, you know. So Bhulava Institute and the theatre people, and then suppose a friend, say Pratap Sharma, Sukhdev, Chari, they're all gone. And Pratap did a play called Touch of Brightness for, क्या है उसका नाम, England का बाजू में क्या है, Edinburgh Festival. And the play was Touch of Brightness. I was doing the set, and it was not allowed by police to go because it talked about the red light area. So, what I was saying, if a friend did a production of a play, you buy the ticket and go. And if I was having an exhibition, all theatre, film, dance, music, everybody will come.
यहाँ पर भी NSD के साथ
जी
association interaction.
So when I
used to do posters for NSD.
So Hussain came first from Bombay, then I came, then Gaitonde, Tayeb, etc. came, Nasreen. So I found the place for all of them in Nizamuddin, Jaipur, etc. So Al-Qazi, I knew him in Bombay, and as a matter of fact, I worked in the sets waiting for Godot. And he had invited me, the first batch, I taught them art, this Manohar Singh and etc. Then Karanth became the director. So he invited me one day, said he wants to do in the basement a poster gallery. So I designed a poster, and I had, the fact is, it's a very funny coincidence that, was it yesterday or day before? I had a lecture day before yesterday in NSD, and my friend, young artist, found the poster that I designed in 1979 for Karanth, for the National School of Drama, and I got it framed and gifted it to them. So everybody knew each other's work, you know.
थोड़ा सा क्या वैसे तो बहुत मुश्किल है बता पाना, पर ये जैसे मान लीजिए ट्रेडिशनल क्राफ्ट्स के साथ, थिएटर के साथ, all the art forms के साथ जो आपका इंटरेक्शन रहा है, उसके लिए आपने काम भी किया है, दोस्त तो बहुत रहे ही हैं. कहीं लगता है कि इसने काम में आपके किसी तरह का डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली कोई मदद की है, या वो इंडिपेंडेंट सी कोई चीज़ है, एक जैसे हम सभी सोचते हैं कि अच्छा हमको ये भी करना चाहिए, हमको ये भी कर सकना चाहिए, क्या उसमें काम में कहीं कुछ आया है? थिएटर के साथ, डांस के साथ, चंद्रलेखा जी का आपने नाम लिया, और बाकी आर्ट्स के साथ, म्यूजिक के साथ, इतनी सबके साथ आपका जो इंटरेक्शन रहा है, क्या मैं क्या सोचता हूँ, मैं तो वो भी नहीं बता रहा, मैं आपसे जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि आपके काम में वो कहीं आपको झलकता हुआ दिखाई पड़ता है?
I don't paint narrative paintings, although I study and sketch and do watercolors and flowers and plants and animals, everything, but I exhibit only human figure. So those who see that, they are not aware that I have. You see, it is not necessary that everything that you do in the studio should be exhibited. You know, there are certain private spaces and they are not necessary to exhibit. This is one. The other thing is, since I don't do narrative painting, I did a painting only once. When Safdar Hashmi was killed, my daughter Nandita used to work in his street place with Safdar Hashmi. And when he was killed, I did a very large painting. And then Sehmat was set up, Habib Tanveer, Al-Qazi, me and a few others. Sehmat is now functioning very well. But this painting I donated, that 40,000 rupees some 30 years ago, was donated to this. Bangladesh High Commissioner is here. I also, Sukhdev and me, all of us did something for Bangladesh in 71. So I did a serigraph edition. They give a big hand to the troubled hands in Bangladesh. And I gifted to them, I found one copy and gifted. So, but normally Hussein used to do a lot of things of events. You can live in New York or Bombay or Delhi or somewhere, but you can have your own personal journey. It's not necessary to document or chronicle various things that's happening in the society. But there are some artists whom I respect, like Vivan Sundaram, who's very politically and socially otherwise. I'm very concerned about social situation, but I don't necessarily bring it to the painting, but the anguish of it comes into my figuration.
अब मैं एक चीज और पूछ सकता हूँ आपसे, हम लोगों को ये भी याद है और बहुत अच्छा लगता था, we were all young, और आप ही इनिशिएटिव लेते थे कि कहीं ड्रॉट है, कहीं फ्लड है, तो हम पेंटिंग्स जनरेट करेंगे, उनका ऑप्शन करेंगे, दैट इज, उसको हमने देखा है, तो वो भी आप करते रहे हो.
जी जी.
अब वो नहीं
I'm a Boy Scout. As I said, I'm an indulgent and over-indulgent person, but I'm also Boy Scout. So when there was cyclone took place in Orissa, Richard Bartholomew was the secretary of Lalit Kala. So we organized a big exhibition, and the money we gave it to Orissa. And Raghu and I have gone many times to Orissa during the cyclone. And so.
मैं थोड़ी सी बात, हमारे पास तो ज़्यादा समय नहीं है, 5-10 मिनट का ही है, तो इसकी कर लूँ कि आपसे मेरी बात उनके बारे में होती रही है कि योर क्लोजनेस टू गायतोंडे, टू सूजा, टू रघुराय, ये 3-4 नाम है जो तुरंत ध्यान में आते हैं, जिनके साथ आपने बहुत क्लोज इंटीमेट ढंग से आप रहे हो, और बिल्कुल अलग गायतोंडे दूसरी तरह का आर्टिस्ट आप.
Gaitonde and Souza are much older than me. You see, one thing very good about the visual art and artist, ये जो म्यूजिशियन डांसर कान पकड़ो ये करो ये सब कुछ नहीं ऐसा I call Souza as Souza, Bhabar, Chowra. We all called by each other's name and we sat, had drinks or tea or discuss about anything. So that's one. The other thing about visual artists is, at my time, all of them used to go to plays and film and dance and music and poetry. But the architects don't go, dancers and musicians don't go to see painting and etc. So this homogeneity, that give and take, the adan pradan that used to be there before, is not existing anymore. Say, Gaitonde and Souza I met in 59. And we have had very close friendship, because Bhulaba Institute, Gaitonde was there. When they all came to Bombay, Delhi, I also found their place. So Gaitonde will come home, have some tea, we go to Nizami, have some kebab, and go to IIC bar, have a drink, and go and see a very good film, And we never discuss about art and part, Everybody discussing art, we didn't discuss any art.
ये जो सेंटर आपने बनाया है भुवनेश्वर में for the promotion of documentary and short films, इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा, इसके ये कहाँ से लगा आपको भी करना चाहिए?
Overindulgent. You see, I remember my grandmother, when I was a child, we have Rath Yatra in Mayurbhanj. Incidentally, the food in Mayurbhanj and Bangladesh is exactly the same. They call pitha, they don't call it pithe. So anyway, so क्या बोला? Grandmother got me 2 lacquer terracotta toys, which is a very typical thing of Orissa. And you'll be surprised to know I have just found them. they were in a box and I found the little terracotta. So I had a little almari. So I used to keep all these things, sambhal ke. And maybe I'm very insecure, but I started collecting things of beautiful object. A terracotta or a diya or a bell metal, kaasa ke koi bartan. ऐसे करते करते शुरू हो गया, तो suddenly I realized now that for 50 years I have been collecting. And within Orissa, in India, I got 50 pankha from Bangladesh, and then the word of mouth went around, koi pankha wala aaya hai, India se pankha collect kar raha hai. So likewise the pankha and likewise the collection of arts and antiquity. And then I realized that my house is full of all these things. So it started, then Orissa government had told me some 30, 40 years ago, they will give me some land to make my studio and a museum. Then I said, that is the thing that will make a art center to shed baggage. So we are doing 26 galleries, and all the arts and antiquity and craft have gone to Orissa in store, and my eldest son Siddhartha is looking after it, and he's from NID, from design and museum designing, etc. So it's a horrendous task, and I suddenly realized and regretting that I've taken so much, not only in my plate, in my tray, and so I'm shedding baggage. And hence the JD Center of Art. Now the Government of India has given funds for 1 block of the building, 3 floors have been built, and inshallah that they will go and run into the house. And one aspect of it, that we have a Meet the Artist program every month on a second Saturday, which has gone on for 16 years uninterrupted, with no funding. Then we have something called Documentary Film Festival on Art. It's archiving, and Aruna is here, she's right from the beginning, imaging the arts. It's not a film festival, but we have more than 3,000 documentaries in our archive, and we hold a festival. So January was the 11th Film Fest. So that's about the art center. So I'm gradually shedding baggage and realize it's too late to retrieve.
ऐसा लगता नहीं है, क्योंकि जो लोग आपकी एनर्जी को जानते हैं, और मैं तो एक बार बहुत भागा हूँ आपके साथ जयपुर में, उनका पंखे इकट्ठा करने कहाँ मिलेंगे। अच्छा, तो हम लोग जयपुर में पंखे ढूंढ रहे थे आपके साथ, और जहाँ भी आप जाते हो। बस में एक, अब हम समाप्त करेंगे, इतना अच्छा लग रहा है, मैं आपको क्या बताऊँ, मुझे लग रहा है कि जब बातचीत चलती रहे पर समय, और आप लोग भी जरूर एंजॉय कर रहे होंगे, पर अब समाप्त करना है थोड़ी देर में, फिर आपकी से कुछ सवाल जवाब होंगे जतीन के पास। ये एक तरह से मेरा आखिरी सवाल है, क्योंकि आप पेंटर हो और आपको जानना ही चाहिए, आपने कलर में काम किया है, कलर का आप इस्तेमाल करते हो, पर उस तरह से नहीं कि कोई लगे कि बहुत सारे कलर्स वहाँ हैं, और आप लोग आपके काम को जहाँ तक मैं जानता हूँ, कोई इसलिए नहीं देखता कि जतिन की पेंटिंग देखेंगे तो उसमें कोई कलर का बहुत आनंद आता है, पर उसके लिए नहीं। इससे कई लोगों के साथ होता है ना कि आप किसी का काम देखते हो, और हमारा इतना बड़ा ट्रेडिशन रहा है मिनीचर का और हमारे यहाँ का, तो ये जो आप कलर के बारे में क्या सोचते हो?
कलर के बारे में बोलने के पहले जरा बता दूं कि sometimes the people ask, you paint, you also draw, you also do graphics. So I don't know how to answer. It's like you also eat bhindi, you also eat saag, and you also eat fish. So meaning a lot of people have no idea that. In my 40s, 50s and 60s, I wrote in my introduction to my brochure that I'm a painter, I want to become an artist. So आजकल किसी को 20 साल में क्या करते हो? I'm an artist. तो ये जो है ना, डर जाता हूँ. तो artist is he, I think, who should not only draw, paint, do murals, do building, do toys and everything, and write poems, and of course चौसठी कला चाहिए ना. But color, तो क्या color में क्या हाँ. But everybody paints, everybody draw. But you see, in schools also they immediately telling the kids to do oil painting and acrylic painting. Some lady will come with their child, Jatin, जरा बताओ ना ये कैसे painting करे. मैं बोला कागज दे दो, कलम दे दो, pencil दे दो, let them draw. But then they go back and tell their friends, Jatin didn't give us any tablet, any idea. how to draw and paint. So the real, many talented children have been destroyed by their parents and by their art teacher. You know, teaching children is very dangerous. Frankly, they should not be taught. So, yeah. तो जामिया तो बहुत बढ़िया था. रामचंद्रन परमजीत हुआ. कहाँ परमजीत है? हाँ. ये बड़ा खिंचाई करेगा अभी. तो हाँ. So is to teach there. You know, I learned Dr. Zakir Hussain. I was told when I joined, I inquired about Jamia. Dr. Zakir Hussain was leaving Old Delhi somewhere. The Jamia school was there. He was watering the plants, and his philosophy that the salary that he got, he spent it for the thing. So all the money he has to get, I have to spend it for children, their canteen and the landscape करने के लिए जगह वगैरह. So we had there was nothing, there was no facility, nothing. But Ramachandran Paramjit were there, since they are both of my close friends, so I joined. And we three were trying to do something and create an art department. Unfortunately, we couldn't, but all the kids who were the first batch, they were doing very well. They are sensitive, you know. And so we wanted to plant different kinds of trees so the children can study, and all kinds of things. So I brought a skeleton from some department and taught them anatomy, etc. So anyway, but teaching, it's a very unfortunate. Our syllabus is bad. Our all the art schools are defunct, all of them. You know, day before yesterday, I was happy for the first time about an institution when I went to NSD. NSD is the only institution which is throbbing with activity, and the whole environment is so charged. And Lalit Kala, National Gallery, Modern National Museum, College of Art, College of Architecture, School of Design, they are all defunct, dead institutions. Yeah, and Al-Qazi when he started, and that legacy, that foundation that he created, and these kids are fantastic, you know.
जतिन जी, आपकी बहुत सारी इच्छाएं, हम लोग तो बात करते रहते हैं, तो पता है मुझे, पर आज इस सभा में आपकी एक इच्छा को मैं शेयर करना चाहता हूँ सबके सामने, जो आपकी इच्छा है, और मुझे लगता है आप उसमें कुछ करोगे, क्योंकि यहाँ कई सिरेमिक आर्टिस्ट भी मौजूद हैं. जतिन की इच्छा ये है, अब इसकी बहुत बात करते हैं कि मैं कुछ सिरेमिक में कुछ करना चाहता हूँ, तो मैं समझता हूँ एक दिन जब वो भी हम देखेंगे आपका. अभी मैं विराम दूँ, आपको बहुत धन्यवाद. और अब मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप लोग जो पूछना चाहो, कहना चाहो जतिन से, 15 मिनट सबके लिए हैं. हाँ, आपके हाथ उठ रहे हैं वहाँ से.
आपके चित्रों में ह्यूमन फिगर्स हमेशा मूवमेंट में रहते हैं, गतिशील है, they are in motion, as if doing something. वे कभी भी विश्राम में या स्थिर नहीं हैं.
क्यों, मैं खुद रेस्टलेस हूँ ना, मेरे फिगर भी रेस्टलेस है. बस हो गया, और कुछ? जी, yes sir. Yeah, get straight to person. बोलिए, you first. आप the recommend.
Please.
Jatin, I'm very curious to hear your view on curation and what you think of the way shows are, in apostrophes, curated, and what to you is the ideal curatorial process. What are you looking for when you see curation, when someone says curation? What is it that you'd much rather see? And what is it that you'd much rather dismiss as non-curation?
No. I think this question is leading me to become a little more blunt. That is, there are hundreds of artists now every day, mushroom growing. And there are hundreds of curators. As I said, Richard, Krishnan, Prayag ji, Krishna Jatin, all these people used to come in and out of our studio looking at our work at every stage. 99% of the so-called art historians and curators haven't seen an artist studio. There's a course in art history at the Art and Aesthetics in JNU, in National Museum and elsewhere. They've never seen an artist at work. The people are doing conservation of painting. They've never seen a painting being painted. And there's so much of vulgarity going on in every field, including art. So this will all happen. One girl comes to interview, he said, "You have a 35 exhibition." I said, "Wow, you know so much." She read it in the website. And so wrong, yeah. But so everybody's so confident these days. You know that to be an artist, that it should be vulnerable, is gone. There are all cat's whiskers. So coming back to curatorial thing, etc. If you have not seen somebody dance or paint or whatever, how can you curate? If you have not rubbed shoulder, इसको सहधर्मी बोलेंगे ना, सहृदय बोलेंगे, सहधर्मी. You in similar shoes, rub your shoulder and spend time, गुस्सा करो, झगड़ा करो कि बैठे किसी की कविता पढ़ा, but कुछ है ही नहीं. वो कॉफी हाउस था, वासुदेव वगैरह सब, you know, there were addas. In Calcutta there's something fantastic, Sutrupti, और क्या है, another place where all these artists and poet or writer, हाँ, और कोई आ जाएंगे कि यहाँ मिलेंगे करके, you know. And IIC bar used to be very volatile. When Ramu Gandhi was there and others used to come, a lot of friends are dead and gone and some don't come. So used to share things. Somebody used to say, "Oh, have you seen that tree flowering?" But everybody is talking of shop, who has got award, what is happening in politics, and so on. So there is, at the moment, frankly, one is a loner. Other than a few friends who are left now, you know, so curatorial से मुझे नहीं समझ आता. ये सब जानते हैं, they all catch whiskers, and anybody who has done one painting is having a show also. You know, so 10 painting बन गया तो show हो गया. If you have 500 painting, then you might select 10 for a show, ना. For that, उसको पुखत होने के लिए, you need 40 years of work to become an artist, to start being an artist, or in any field. In cooking, gardening, car mechanic, the little child knows running. वो master कहता जरा tool देना और ठीक नहीं आया तो थप्पड़ लगाता था ना. So he spends 20 years in the garage. Then you become a car mechanic. Huh? So when your mother is unwell, do you take your mother to a MBBS first year वाला को देते हैं operation के लिए? नहीं ना, पुखत होना चाहिए ना. So पुखत होने के लिए time लगता है. बस हो गया? हाँ बोलो. हाँ.
Jatin, all along, you have been painting
जी.
women of clay. Do you have any plan to paint
Men
women
of clay.
of iron?
He's an artist, famous artist. I had an exhibition entitled Women of Clay some 35 years ago. And all this title to a painting or to the show is an impromptu title, what I feel I give it. And normally I never discuss about my painting with anybody. I never explain. Quite often people say, "What is behind your painting?" I turn the painting, I say, "Yeah, behind." You know, so, you know, so everybody is very interested. Knowing, acha, if you give something fantastic, you give a catalogue to a very learned person, first page, if anything written, they will start reading. They will not look at the painting. You know? I mean, एक आतुर होना चाहिए पेंटिंग देखने के लिए ना. They will all read. 90% they want to read. हाँ भाई, हाँ जी, कभी बार.
मैं तो आखिरी सवाल ये पूछना था. आपने कहा कि निजामुद्दीन में मोदी की दुकान से आप परचून की दुकान से सामान लेते थे. तो चाय की दुकान का तो सुना था, परचून की दुकान भी थी क्या?
बढ़िया. This was fantastic. All the artists in Nizamuddin, East, West, and Pura took. हाँ जी.
थोड़ा संक्षेप में.
बस संक्षेप.
There is one saying, जैसे हमारे यहाँ भारत में broadcast industry है, nowhere in the world there is no such industry to give such certification of film or art. Nowadays some society people are they give like M.F. Hussain. He had a very tough time at the end of his career. We have Leonardo da Vinci. He was rarest of rare in scientists and artists. So do you think this type of society or government intervention is desirable?
I have no idea.
मेरे ख्याल बहुत समय लगेगा उन सब में. अब आपका बोल रहे हैं. हाँ.
ये करीब 30 साल हो गया. And somebody gifted me a fan on my birthday, antique fan. And I've written this. And then a friend of mine was sitting in the house and I took the fan. I said, let me stir the still air. Then I thought I'll make a collection. हमारा दोस्त पवन वर्मा आ गए कभी बार, हाँ, तो पंखा collection शुरू हुआ. And then, as I said, overindulgent person, मजाक से शुरू करते 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 बहुत serious हो गया. Then we, various things that my son designed, exhibition. It was shown at the National Craft Museum. It was shown at London Fan Museum, Zurich, Kuala Lumpur, Philippines, National Museum में दिखाया. There's supposed to be a National Fan Museum, and I'm going to donate the collection if the government does the museum. But हमारे देश में वो मस्ती नहीं है किसी को. सरकार में, समाज में, दोस्तों में ये मस्ती नहीं है.
एक बार देखने पर आएगी, पंखा का कलेक्शन इतना अद्भुत है आपका.
तो बहुत सारे दोस्तों ने भी दिया. Lalit Mansingh was posted in Africa. He wrote to all the kings of Africa, I got 80 leather ceremonial fans. And things like that. ये तो बढ़िया, उसके ऊपर 10 डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म भी बना है. But all these पंखास कोई 2 रुपया का है, कोई 2 लाख का भी है. And it's all bought. One thing very uncanny, which I'm realizing when I'm 75 now, that every time I needed 2 rupees or 2 lakhs I had in my pocket.
Jatin, here is a
Oh,
skin
yeah.
specialist doctor. She wants to ask something.
Yeah, please, please.
Shruti Tandon ji.
हाँ, बोलिए.
What do you think NSD has got right that they managed to maintain the vibrancy that you experienced?
I think they're committed. I think they're working hard, and then they're involved in their institution.
That are committed, or because
No, whatever the reason, I don't know. But what I'm saying, हमारा देश में, it's a great country, great people. All we need is very good education. The 2 institutions which are very important is home and primary school, and the governance. But all these institutions are destroyed. And what I'm saying, seeing this institution day before yesterday, I was so happy because I've been depressed about many things over a period of time. And so your question, I didn't get.
I
You
just
guys
wanted
have
to
a-
know what do you think they've got right that they managed to maintain?
What do you
the
think,
vibrancy
right?
They
of that
maintain this.
institution?
No, I'm not talking right and wrong, but I'm saying it's not maintenance. But the whole environment, when I walked in the corridor, when I saw the
What she
photograph.
meant was कि उन्होंने ये जो vibrations वहाँ आपको लगते हैं,
घुमा दो.
ये कैसे maintain उन्होंने किया? सारी ऐसी
I think Al-Ghazi created the legacy and the strictness and punctuality and the involvement, etc. अब सुनिए, NSD asked me for a lecture day before yesterday. College of Art यहाँ है ना, किसी आर्टिस्ट को 40 साल से कोई बुलाया नहीं, तो क्या करें? आप समझे ना? तो every institution should be ventilated by people coming. So here is Sadhdevu, a great dancer. People only read papers and see, but all these sensitive people who have been working all their life, do we know each other's work really? So, yeah, thank you. Ashok ji.
The conversation could have gone on, but there are limits to everything.
Right.
We have a few things to tell you which are happening very soon. One is an exhibition on Raza Saab's birthday on 22nd. He painted a few works inspired by Gandhiji, and we are showing them, and there's a book also being released, and a book for children on him done by Katha. So you are all in the Visual Arts Gallery at 6 p.m. on 22nd of this month. We have, Astad Debu is here. There's a performance of Astad Debu on 3rd February, 3rd March. And there are some invitation cards outside, you can pick them up. Each one is meant for 2 persons. We have later, Raza Foundation has created fellowships for getting biographies of important writers, artists written. We don't have a tradition of, so some of them will be reading from those biographies in progress. That will be the next Art Matters on 7th of March here. We have a Habib Tanveer Memorial Lecture which will take place in Gulmohar Hall on 18th March. Neelam Mansingh, the famous theatre person from Chandigarh, will be delivering the lecture. On 28th and 29th of March, we have done very little in the realm of theatre. So we are cooperating with Natran Pratishthan and trying to have 4 important theatre groups of Delhi to be documented and to be talked about. And then we are starting a quarterly series, again with the collaboration of the India International Center, in which there will be things called Aaj Kavita, which will be featuring young poets. Although if I get bored with the young, I might turn to the more reliable generations. But that's another matter at the moment. Thank you very much for coming, and please do come to these things. And do tell others that there are such remarkable things happening, provocative, enriching, etc. And I'm quite sure most of them are spending their evening uselessly or doing things which are utterly useless. So tell them, and they are most welcome on these dates. We have circulated a program thing. And thank you very much, Jatin and Prayag ji, for this interesting conversation. And now, of course, you can go home or wherever you want to. As for me, before I catch a train to Bhopal, where I'm